Remember this chase from October of last year, a suspect losing control of his truck going airborne, landing on a ditch along the 210 freeway. Turns out the suspect was known to police as the Hills Bandit. Stephen Richard Bartlett was his name. He'd been wanted for a series of bank robberies. Turns out he had just robbed another bank when this chase began. At one point, Bartlett was driving the wrong way on the 215 freeway, then stopping his truck, trying to climb a freeway fence before resuming the chase. Now, we followed up on this case, and we learned that in February, Bartlett pleaded guilty to the federal bank robbery charges. He faces 8 years in prison for that and has been ordered to pay $80,000 in restitution. He'll be formally sentenced in July. Now, sometimes a long police pursuit can end with an even longer standoff. That was the case on February 23rd during a chase that stretched from the San Fernando Valley up to Palmdale. Christine O'Donnell was on that story.
Sky Fox over a wild and dangerous police chase. Officers began pursuing the suspect for reckless driving in the San Fernando Valley. While in pursuit, the driver committed a felony hit and run in the Northridge area. The Ford F-150 reached speeds well over 100 miles per hour as it drove north on the 14. The driver weaving in and out of the center divider and carpool lanes, barely missing other cars. Once he was off the freeway in Palmdale, he lost control going too fast on a corner and crashed into a CHP vehicle, but then just kept on going. A few minutes later, he drove into a gated community where a woman jumped out of the truck. She was apprehended. The CHP did a pit maneuver on the truck soon after, but the suspect ended up crashing head-on into another car. The two people in that car, a father and daughter, ran for their lives, but the suspect wasn't budging, and the standoff began. At one point, smoke was seen coming out of the truck. Then 30 minutes into the standoff, he finally surrenders, crawling really slowly, face down toward waiting officers, where he was taken into custody.
He got out and put his hands up and then told him to get on the floor. Then he started crawling back, and then the police told him to get up, and then they put handcuffs on him. And then they put him against a car and they were checking him, and then soon after that they went to go check his car if there was anything, that could cause any disaster,
They think they can get away here. I don't know why. I mean, just because it's, not a lot of buildings and stuff don't mean that the helicopter can't find you.
Good point. Good point. In addition to reckless driving, Sean Christopher Druschel, the suspect's name, was charged with 4 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, driving under the influence of drugs, misdemeanor hit and run, and driving with a suspended license. Now, earlier we heard from LA County Sheriff Sergeant Daniel Dale with the Traffic Services detail about the dangers of pursuits. We talked about what it's like to be behind the wheel from his perspective when the chase is on, and then what you should do if you're on the streets or the freeways and you see the lights and hear those sirens behind you.
For me, my personal estimation, was exciting, scary, all at the same time. You have all these varying factors that are running through your mind. Trying to drive, trying to talk on the radio. The person is driving through, at least in my pursuit, was driving through parking lots and doing excess of 60, 65 miles an hour on surface streets. So there's a lot going on in a very short distance of time. We have called off pursuits because it gets too dangerous, and that's one thing you have to constantly evaluate: the necessity for apprehending the suspect versus the public safety danger aspect of it. If it becomes too dangerous, it doesn't make any sense to continue to chase this person if we're going to hurt someone who's innocent. Whatever your initial crime was, let's say it was a robbery or a residential burglary, and if you do run from the police, they will enhance your sentences also. If, let's say, you commit a misdemeanor crime and you're being chased and you hurt somebody, well, now you'll be charged with a felony, because anytime you evade from the police and someone gets hurt, then you're responsible for that injury or death. If you see a police car coming, pull to the right. That's your job as a driver in California. That's the law. Stopping in the middle of the street, pulling to the left is the last thing you want to do. Even if it's just a fire truck, ambulance, you need to pull to the right and get out of the way and make way. That way the police officer or fireman, paramedic can get on through safely. I saw something on TV the other day where some citizens tackled the guy in LAPD. I think it was maybe Van Nuys area. That's something I would not recommend to do.